o'clock. We're darn close to it. We can all find a seat. I assumed everybody signed in and did all that kind of stuff that you're supposed to do, correct? I'm Mike Clardy, one of the board members. And we have a number of other board members here. Sharon Schellenberger, Scott Martin, Gene Kaufman, Mike Fitzgerald, and Phil Rattano. Helen is the board member that's missing, and she's got a tough duty right now. She's in Europe. So we'll forgive her for that. We've got a really, hi Tom. How are you? Tom makes a great entrance. We've got a lot of really good stuff to share with everybody today. Some really good news for a change. And I'm sure we're all, ready to do it. A bit of housekeeping. If you have questions, please hold them to the end. Unless it's a point of clarification about something that Jeff's going to talk about, then ask the question. Otherwise, let's hold it to the end. And as was pointed out in the memo that came out on the e-blast, please hold your conversation at the end to 5 minutes. 5 minutes is a long time, by the way, to talk. So if somebody cuts you off before 5 minutes, don't be too surprised. It'll help if you'll ask only one question at a time. That way more people will get their questions answered, and we'll get around the room a little quicker. So I'm not going to take any more of your time. I'm going to turn it over to Jeff Geisler, and Jeff will share with you.
Thank you, Mike. Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, isn't it? So let's get into the presentation. We've got a lot to cover today. This is kind of an agenda of what we're going to be going over. We're going to do the financial report first, give you the numbers, and they're going to be September year-to-date numbers that have been approved by the Finance Committee and the Board. They've been posted, it was fairly recently. Give you a couple of POA updates that Mr. James is going to do for us. We'll come back and talk about the progress of the Internet Access project we're working on. We'll talk about something fairly new, the Rumbling Ball brand, vision, and strategy, which is a pretty big deal, I think. And then we'll talk about North Star, which is the new computer POS system that's going in this week. I look a little bit tired, the staff looks a little bit strained and stressed and all that kind of good stuff. It's because of that last one, North Star. And then we'll get into some member questions and comments. All right, everybody good? Financial report, we're going to pass this out. We have copies over there by Sharon. It has a small print on it. We're going to go over the dues collection year-to-date. Take a look at the reserve account. To refresh your memory, the reserve account was a specific account for the dues targeted at infrastructure projects. And it kind of gives you an update on what's going on there. We'll go through the September year-to-dates and then some project spending updates. So once these get passed out, we'll jump in. She's got one. Thank you, Scott. Everybody got a copy? Who wants a copy? All right, thank you. We're going to jump into probably the biggest area that I think most folks think about when they think about this year is the dues increase and what's happened. And what I can tell you is as of September year to date, we collected about 87.5% of the total dues for the year. It's behind 18, 17, and 16. One of the things that we saw coming into this year is once the dues increased, people stretched out their payment terms. So we had about 200 accounts that went from an annual to maybe a quarterly or to a monthly. So we're getting the payment, the cash flow will be stretched out a little bit. All that being said, over to the left, there's 129 accounts out of about 1,360 total accounts that have a problem. 41 of those accounts have worked out a payment plan. They're making payments. They're not up to speed, but they are making an effort to pay their dues. That leaves 88 accounts in the collections process. Ironically, well, we've always asked the question, how many of those are lots versus homes? There's 34 homes, or 34 improved properties in that 88, and 54 unimproved. So while it is a little bit skewed towards the unimproved, I don't think it's as big of a skew as what most of us saw. That number surprised me a little bit when I saw it. I want to thank James Kane for digging into a very old system and getting through a lot of records to get to those numbers. That's not something normally we were able to report on. One thing we're doing right now is we're going over our collections options. James, and he can maybe speak to it, has been looking at alternative ways to collect these funds. One way, as you might know, is you hire an attorney and you go down the attorney route. That has its pluses and minuses, mostly minuses, because it ends up becoming paralegal work at the end of the day, and a nice letter. If something happens, they get a piece of it. He's found through his connections in the CAI or CIA. I always suspect the latter, but I think it was a former. Right? Found some firms that were willing to do something a little bit differently, and we're in the process of negotiating potentially a different approach to collections. We still do the liens. We still go through the 60-day process. We're still going to start cutting off access to amenities, and with North Star, we'll talk about it later. We can do that as soon as they stop paying, kind of thing. So from a due standpoint, we think that final number is going to come out around 92 or 93%, which was in line, maybe a little bit better than what we were thinking. As we talked at the last meeting, we were really trending a little bit better than we anticipated. That trend has continued. The reserve account, this is the money. We had the $1,200 dues increase, $850 of that went to the reserve account. Through year to date, we started out with about $200,000 in the account January 1. About $150 of that was insurance proceeds, and $50 was some seed money that we put in there in 2018. Mr. Neary orchestrated that seed money, so that's where we started, about $200,000. We've added about $1.65 million to it. Since then, it's spent close to $700,000, and there's actually $784,000 in the bank at the end of September. And those are monies that we have to finish paying off the bridges, and we'll go over those numbers here in a minute, but that kind of gives you an update of where we are in the reserve account. We anticipate ending the year at about $300,000 in the reserve account, and we'll go over the reasons why. About $120,000 of that is found money, and I'll define found in a minute when we get to that point. So now let's look at the really small numbers. These are the total resort P&L. September year to date on the left. Month to date on the left, year to date on the right. And what I can tell you is that from a September standpoint, last year we made $179,000 before depreciation and other income. This year we was $361,000, which is an increase of a couple $100,000. Last September was not good to us. The equestrian center games, we made a lot of money in lodging. We didn't make any money anywhere else. And these numbers this September kind of bear that out. We budgeted to make $311,000. So before depreciation and other income, we were $50,000 to the good in September. On a year-to-date basis, last year at this time, we were around $100,000 in net. This year at 1.6, we hope to be at 1.61, so we're about $9,000 favorable versus budget September year-to-date on our financials. Now, a big part of that increase is a dues increase, but a big part of it also is improvement in the business units, and we'll get to those numbers here in a second. These are the POA numbers. Again, September was a pretty good month. We ended up about 212 versus 109 last year. Most of that is dues. We were off about 6,000 from budget on the net before depreciation and extraordinary items. Year to date, we're $52,000 shy of budget. Still we're up about 1.1, 1.2 from last year. Again, that's heavily dues influenced. The major item that year to date kind of sticks out is the payroll expense line. We're 90,000 above budget, about 51,000 versus last year. The majority of that is in maintenance. And when we do a budget, we budget for capital jobs and we use our maintenance folks on other properties that we provide services for. This year we have focused mostly on repairs and mostly on rolling ball activities. So last year we may have worked for a condo association and done some work for them. We kept those folks in-house and did some work on our own. This roof is one example of it, trying to get this situated. There's going to be the Legends work we did earlier in the year was part of that. Maintenance has been pretty involved in the resort this year by design. So I'd say about 50,000 of that 90 is related to maintenance activity. The remaining, I hate to say we missed a couple numbers. We missed a number on insurance. We haven't budgeted on insurance costs falling out. And we paid a little bit more on interest on the line of credit than we anticipated. So that's the 90. The rest of those items are pretty much in line with budget. So it's pretty stable performance on the POA side today. The business units. These numbers have no dues in them. These are straight non-dues amounts. We do not allocate any dues to the business units. So from a year-to-date standpoint, let's look at that. Last year at this point, we had lost $403,000. This year we have lost $71,000. I'm going to say parenthetically, $131,000 of that is wellness, the amenity of wellness. If you eliminate wellness from that number, it's actually about a $60,000 net income for the business units through September. But you can see the difference is about $330,000 year over year in the business units. That's a pretty significant increase in net income. We had hoped to be at 131, so even versus a budget standpoint, we were 61,000 ahead of budget in the business units. Where's that coming from? Versus budget, you can see food and beverage is favorable by 84,000. Golf is favorable. Outdoor venues. Outdoor venues are the cabana and the tri-stream pool. And then managed properties are the folks we do work for right outside, the condo associations, those kinds of things. Where we've been unfavorable to budget is lodging. Lodging is off 110 net. And wellness is about $6,000 off budget. The issue with lodging is one related to Airbnb and VRBO, and actually has its tentacles back to the equestrian games back last September. If you roll back the clock to maybe January, February 2018, Tryon was advertising 500,000 visitors. A lot of people spend money on their homes, improving them, putting them in the rental program or getting ready for a rental program, and nothing ever happened. What they learned in that process is it wasn't so hard to put something in the rental program if you don't mind doing your own housekeeping and doing all your own work. And so we've seen an explosion across the county, not just on our side, but across the county in Airbnb and VRBO. As a member of the TDA board, I see the occupancy tax receipts, and in that other category that includes Airbnb and VRBO, they're up 100% year over year. So our lodging business is being affected pretty significantly by that. The other piece is we've not had leadership. We lost our leader in April, I believe early April. The new lodging director started last Friday. So we're back, have the lodging director back in the seat. So we hope to make a big improvement on that next year. But the lodging numbers have hurt us this year. The really good side of all that is even with lodging being off, everything's way up. Golf is up, food and beverage is up. As a matter of fact, food and beverage, if you just talk about year over year, it's up almost $270,000 net. So people are still coming to the area, they're still renting properties here, not as much from us, but when they're in the area, they're using our restaurants, they're playing on golf courses, to go under our cabana and our house swimming pool. Those are all good things. So from a business unit standpoint, it's been a pretty solid year. Peeking into October, I think the trend continues. Last weekend was really steady.
I have a quick question about the revenue. They're up, but the revenue year over year. Okay.
She's asking a question about the
revenue. Where is it's coming?
400. The revenue is off 449,000 in lodging. It's off 420 in the business units. So from a budget standpoint, it's all lodging related.
So it's set cost savings.
The cost savings flow through to the cost of goods and to labor to a certain extent. You can see direct expenses are favorable by $12,000 on a $1.7 million budget, which is pretty daggone close, actually. Some projects updates. Just to get everybody on the same page. The bridges, 12 Ridge and Gateway bridges are complete. We're going through the, you don't have this in your slide yet. Hopefully these are big enough you can see them on the screen. And we'll post this presentation later so you'll be able to see it. The bridges are complete. We're going through the negotiation process to close out those contracts. The good news is we had forecasted, or we had budgeted for about $100,000 in contingency fees, anticipating something going wrong during construction. That didn't happen. We actually had the bridges come in completely on the contract price, so that contingency fee that we budgeted for is $100,000 of found money that I told you about earlier. The pedestrian bridge is the same kind of thing. We budgeted about $20,000 more for a contingency. We didn't run across anything in that work, and I was suspecting something when you start digging that up. Who knows what you're going to find? But that work came in again on contract price. So it's $20,000 of found money. There's some items left to do on the bridge and boardwalk. We've got some lighting to do, the low voltage lighting. We're gonna make sure the lighting is consistent throughout the boardwalk, not just on the piece that was replaced, so the lights will look the same. We're gonna stain it a little different color. Everybody loves that natural look, so we're gonna keep that natural look, and it's gonna stand up against that reddish look. And over the next couple of years, we'll fix that. And then there's a brick walkway that connects up to the gazebo, not the gazebo, but that area that we have to do on that. So that'll close out that project. Road resurfacing, the final contract's under review. They need to get started pretty quick. I think they're ready to get started pretty quick. James is shaking his head yes. Mr. CIA back there is saying yes. He's usually not that forthright with his answer. So road resurfacing is going to start happening. And that's about $300,000 worth of work as budgeted. Bank stabilization, if you stand on that bridge and look up towards the golf course, there's areas where the banks really got destroyed during the flood. It's a multi-step process. The first step we did was we engaged an environmental engineering firm to map out a plan on how to repair that, following all the state, federal, county, municipal, intergalactic. And all of those plans are being reviewed by those agencies, and we're still waiting to hear back from those agencies if they okay that plan. Once those plans come back to us approved, we'll then bid out the work. I don't anticipate that we'll get to this project structurally this year. It'll be first quarter next year, but the money that we took in for that is in the account. We'll be there when we get to the work. The Bald Mountain Lake dredging, kind of bring everybody up to speed on that. If you remember, we had a slide, that ancient slide on Buffalo Creek Road. The toe of that slide is in that lake. And during the investigation, the DOT said to us, yeah, you probably don't want to drain the lake. The pressure of that water on that toe may be helping to keep the slide from sliding anymore. Not knowing, not being engineers ourselves, we've engaged an engineering firm to do a study to look at the toe of that slide, calculate the correct way to be able to dredge the north end of the lake. We don't want to do anything in that dredging process that could lead to turning on that slide that stopped. And so, without an engineering study, we'd be taking kind of a shot in the dark, and it's just too much liability there for us to do that. So, over the next couple of months, there'll be a firm mapping out the bottom of the lake and giving us some guidance on how to dredge it in a prudent way. Again, that'll probably be first quarter of next year. So these are kind of small numbers. I apologize, I should have printed these out. These are the infrastructure projects. And basically, we have budgeted $1.481 million worth of work. We have spent about 1.183 to this point. The two bridges are about 100,000. Will come in about 100,000 under budget. The pedestrian seawall is 16,000 under budget. The Bald Mountain Lake we're putting off till next year. That's 139,000. And the bank stabilization, there's a balance of about 43,000 we're putting off till next year. We're putting off until we get green light on some of those projects. The road resurfacing, we'll spend that 300,000 this year, and you should see that over the next 2 to 4 weeks, I would imagine. As long as it's above 45 degrees, it's an okay process. So we should be okay. These are the operations projects. These are the things that kind of went into the business units. You can see we budgeted 279,000. We were going to spend around 264,000. And so we're about 15,000 under budget once we finally finished all that work. The Chase lounges came in much less than we thought. The pond dredging came in much less. But the Lazy River, Marside, and the pool resurfacing, we spent a little bit more than we thought. Net, it's about $12,200 to the good. And the last batch of projects that are still somewhat active, we had forecasted, budgeted 251,000. We're at about 273. 48 of that $22,000, all of it and then some, is related to the dehumidification system and the indoor pool. We did not budget for that. That was $48,000 that we had to spend that we did not budget for. So overall, when you include that, we're $22,000 unfavorable, but all of that and then some is from the dehumidification system, which by all accounts is doing a great job down there. So I think it's money well spent. Now I'm going to turn it over to James. Let him talk to you a little bit about a couple of POA projects.
How's everyone this afternoon? Just want to give you actually 2 updates on some things that are being worked on. First, I want to help orient you just a little bit. An area that we're talking about, Old Sand Branch. Some of you may not be familiar with this particular area, but this is the Highland Shores area, Quail Ridge area. This is Lake Lure. So if you're sitting here and you're looking in that general direction, that's the area we're talking about. The resort property actually ends, this line goes north, up toward the top of the screen is where you would have the marina, the wellness center, that area. Well, there is and has been a logging road that connects Boys Camp Road down here, Carson Way, and then through this area it's a logging road that comes up into this general area, continues to head north, and actually connects to what we call Raptor Core. And that particular logging road has been in place for many, many years. Over the years, there's been a lot of conversation about what could happen with that road or what should happen to that road. If you speak to some historians, they will tell you that when Rollin King was in the process of developing part of this area in the 60s, that he and the owner of some of that property along the lake made a deal that road would be what continues along through the community to Buffalo Creek Road to allow the circumnavigation of the lake. That they had the forethought that that would be something that's needed in the future. And so over the years, there's been some conversation whether that's actually fact or not. And we've had a lot of conversations with owners of property, town of Lakeview, and many people. And there's has been over the last 3-4 years a lot of conversation about a need for another access to and through the resort. A couple of things have come up that will that have brought that to mind. One that is pretty recent in our history, November 5th, 2016, Hardy Rock fire in that area. There was a need for emergency response and other folks to be able to get to that end of the lake, be able to actually use part of that road to help cut the fire off from our community. And they actually used that road during that time. That kind of pushed a lot of additional conversation about it's not just a one-time need, that there could be future needs for emergency access. That improved access would be, if there were a road constructed through that area, would be for ambulance service, fire department, police. Lake Lure has given multiple examples of where there's been trees down on Boys Camp Road, and there's been some concerns about if there was an emergency, how response teams would be able to get to that area to respond. We've also internally had some conversations of emergency response to Rumbling Ball Resort. Most recently, as we had a landslide on Buffalo Creek Road and we had access, but it could have happened in other areas where we were cut off. Plus, NCDOT had concerns about the bridge on the other side of our entrance. Had something happened there, this community would be cut off from getting out. You wouldn't be able to go north because of the slide, to go south, go across that bridge. If something were to happen to that bridge, you'd not be able to get out. So that continued to spur some conversation. Most of the conversation has been around what does it take to get that road open, and what is the sense of the community if everyone involved were to open that road. One of the initial things that is a concern for our community, controlled access. We have a gate on one end. It really doesn't make a lot of sense to most people that I speak to, that being a wide open area, which in reality it is now. We had a report 2 weekends ago of someone in a 4-wheel drive vehicle driving down that road. How they got off of that little bridge, where it used to be a little bridge area, I'm not sure, but they were driving a 4-wheel drive vehicle from the resort through that area, which is a concern for us. But there is discussion about could we open that road, and what are the implications and what are the benefits. I've already kind of covered the emergency access, emergency response time. Actually, we've had other instances where, from a response standpoint, police department, fire department believes if there were a west connector to Rumbling Ball Resort, response time to a hospital could have been much quicker. Unfortunately, nothing happened, but the response time is slowed, in their opinion, when you take having to go around the lake or even bringing a helicopter in. There's a alternative ingress, egress, which I've mentioned previously. If a west side connector was open, it would reduce commute time for you as an owner, for guests, as well as an opportunity for us in hiring associates. Right now, if you're driving from Hendersonville to here, it's difficult from an associate standpoint to make that trip. But a shorter route, if that was something that was considered. And it would facilitate an increase in property values. I'm only bringing these points up because these are some points that have been brought up in conversation regarding the possibility of opening a west connector from the resort to the town. What is happening right now is conversation, or it's starting within the community of Rumbling Bald, the community of Lake Lure. Does that make sense? And so today, bringing it to your attention so you can start thinking about, does that make sense? There's going to be future conversations about that. If you've heard Jeff speak before, we have set up email account, suggestions@rumblingball.com. If you have some thoughts about Old Sand Branch and a west side connector, love to get your thoughts on that. Suggestions@rumblingball.com, just send an email. But the discussions are beginning of whether or not this makes sense for Rumbling Bald, whether this makes sense for the town of Lake Lure. This impacts a part of Boys Camp Road and some areas down there that are concerned about congestion and things like that. We've heard some concerns on this side regarding controlling that access, and that is top of mind, how you do that, and putting necessary things in place, like it could be a manned guard gate, it could be an arm. We're thinking through those things, talking about those things, but wanted to bring this to your attention so you can start thinking about that, and would love your suggestions.
Dan, where are they saying they're going to connect to the resort?
That's still part of the conversation, where that connector would be. In some of the old documents, it appears that the logging road actually connects to the north end up here at Raptor Court, and then goes through Quail Ridge, basically. The actual logging road, if you walk it actually kind of traverses this way. It's very close to High Road, cul-de-sac right here. The road goes up. There's some conversation of does using this as an alternative access make sense as well. It's all discussion now, Jack. There's been no decision at all, just conversation at this point.
Thank you.
One other update I'll provide you is a proposed trash policy. Intriguing, right? Well, there's a lot behind a proposed trash policy. And that first point really probably tells a lot of people a lot about the policy. So we have black bear management challenges. That's an understatement, right? Everyone who has been here for 2-3 years has seen a dramatic increase in the black bear population. When we talk with North Carolina Wildlife, the key contributor to the black bear conversation is trash. It's a food source. And until the food source is eliminated, they're going to continue to come. They're going to continue to raise their kids here. And like my kids, when they learn the food is in that cabinet, they're going to that cabinet every time they're hungry. And so we recognize there's a bear issue. We recognize something has to be done. And the first step is a policy that helps us control the trash. There's additional steps, education, hopefully. If you did not attend the North Carolina Wildlife educational series where Danny Ray came, we'll like to do another one, but education is a part of that, and there's several other steps. But One of the key things we continue to hear is you have to control the trash. And for the majority of you, you control the trash. You recognize the pickup is around 8 a.m. on Monday, and you're putting your trash out in order at that time to be picked up. Or if it's Wednesday, you're taking it to the area we have or taking it to Bill's Creek, and that's great. That's exactly what we're looking for. However, not everyone is that diligent with their trash. And in many cases, it becomes an issue with guests, but it's not always guests. We do have others that contribute to that, but we do not currently have any regulations regarding trash. Basically, the ACC policy says you put your trash out on Monday, you get your can in by Tuesday, that's it. And so with this situation, what's been discussed is a little bit more firmer policy with some teeth in it that can help encourage those who violate the trash policy to follow it. The last thing I want to see driving through this beautiful community is someone's trash strewn all along the side of the road. It's ugly and it's nasty. So there is a proposed trash policy in place. You will get an email Thursday that has some general information and then a copy of that proposed policy. That proposed policy is on the back table when you leave, so if you want to get it a little bit quicker, it's there. But what the board is asking is take 30 days, review that, think through it, and send comments to that suggestions@rumblingball.com website or email address so we can get your thoughts about that policy. And then at the December meeting, the board's going to look through those comments and make a decision regarding the trash policy. But basically, it says you have to be responsible for your trash, and if you're not, then one, you have to clean it up, and two, there's fines, automatic fines when you do not do that. And like I said, for many of you, or most of you, if not all of you, probably not going to be an issue, but for some that aren't following those, it may be an issue for them. And they may have to come up with alternatives to using the in-ground cans that they use. They may have to come up with alternatives for how they have guests take care of their trash. But that is something they will have to address. So take a look at that policy and give us your thoughts. I'll real quickly circle back to the very first point, black bear management. So we, as a resort, have been looking into the possibility of becoming a bear-wise community. There's several steps in there that will help us mitigate the bear issue. Trash isn't the answer. It helps probably 75 to 85%, but there's other steps that need to be taken as well, such as bird feeders. That's a great food source, grills, things like that. So we're looking at becoming a bear-wise community. There's a lot of information on that back table. I would encourage you to take some of that information from North Carolina Wildlife, and there's going to be a request in the near future for those that would be interested in helping serve on I'll call it a committee, but it may not really be a committee, but help serving on a committee to make us a bear-wise community and help mitigate the black bear encounters that we have. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Are you talking to Fox Run?
Yes, this would include everyone, whether it's timeshare, full-time owner, part-time owner, vacation rental. We've actually already had some conversations with them. They have 3 pickups a week to take care of their trash, which may or may not be enough. They'll have to evaluate that when assuming policies put in place on once that policy's in place, they'll have to evaluate that, and enforcement would be upon them just as it would any member. Yes, ma'am.
Does the policy address use of the dumpsters that are right down here?
Only in that it makes it available. Are you talking about controlling who uses it?
Just controlling their access a little bit better.
We're working on, that's an issue that we internally have to address. And so as part of the 2020 budget process, we are looking into not only in that area, but along the beach and marina. You can see just about every day the route that Boo Boo takes. Boo Boo's a big boy. We have him on camera. And so those would be the, I'm going to call them bear resistant, because if bear decides to get into it, he can, but the bear resistant canisters that have a opening mechanism that you can't just knock it over and the trash rolls out. That's what we're looking toward from our standpoint, also doing something in the area down there as well. So that is upon us. Yes, sir.
Not only the trash, we had 4 cubs and mama bear up there Friday, Fairway Villas, and they've been coming through pretty often, but not as bad. But they laid there for probably close to an hour, eating our full-grown acorns that we've got. They're feasting on those, but then the mama bear gets up and goes over and raids the trash can and chases 2 of the cubs up a tree when they try to take part of it from them.
Yeah, this is acorn season, so this is the time they should be eating them. The thing is, if they're not down here in their hunting ground, 6 months out of the year eating trash, when the acorns fall up on the hill, they would be up there to eat them instead of down here. It's kind of the thought process. But once you make this their habitat, this is the time of year they go from trash to acorns.
I filled up a 60-gallon black bag this morning where the bears came about 11 o'clock last night, and we had 3 guests that checked out, and they put their trash in the cans, but they had it everywhere, and I filled up a 60-gallon thing with trash.
How do you
with
control
food.
a guest that rents a place, they gotta put their garbage out?
Yeah, so that's a great question. How do you control guests? I have 2 kids, and many of you have had kids. It's much like that, I think. So we're taking steps to help educate guests. So anyone who comes and stays at a timeshare, or stays through our lodging program, or if you call Carrie, or actually go online, and have a guest pass for Carrie or Christy or Nina that they produce, everyone who receives a guest pass in any of those ways receives information regarding the bear concerns that we have and how to take care of their trash and how not to feed those animals. The disconnect is, how do you get them to go from reading to following? And that's one of the reasons for the trash policy, is you can enforce it on the guest, you can enforce it on the owner, and so if the owner isn't doing something to help control that, then the enforcement's unfortunately got to be against
You're
them.
talking about your rental program being down, and you want people to come rent our property, and now we're gonna fine us because they put their garbage out. There's got to be a rhyme or reason to some of that.
Well, we have to do a better
I
job.
warned, I've seen people in units next to us, and I go out there very nicely and say, we have a bear problem, please don't leave that pizza box on that table. Guess what? They do it anyway, and
They do.
what are you gonna do? I asked them in a nice way, and I said, the bear will come up on your deck. And they look at me like it's got 2 heads.
Jake, quick comment. We have a rental property here. We specifically are putting it in their deposit.
That's a
They
good
have to follow
idea,
regulations. If we determine that they violated them, we're keeping the deposit.
like that, that's a good idea.
They probably need to read the trash policy and make suggestions.
Yeah. So pick it up on your way out, or when we e-blast the information out on Thursday, you can download it, take a look at it, website, or email address, suggestions@romansball.com. All right? I believe that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Just kind of a side note, Bear Wise started out as a program, I think in either Canada or Alaska, where they had a problem with a much more aggressive type bear, grizzly or Kodiak or something. And when they went to the Bear Wise community and they enforced it, they did all those things as a community, the bear problem did go away. So if it can go away with an aggressive bear, it should be able to go away with these black bears that tend to be fairly docile unless you go between mama and the food or mama and the cubs, and then all that's wrong. So I'm going to move over here a little bit. I think James had a good idea. Internet access, the bane of everyone's existence, right? Some of you may have a good access, a lot of you don't. When you talk to real estate folks, this is probably their biggest issue. They'll have a house under contract, and then they'll find out all that's available is the DSL line, and AT&T won't give it to you when you move in, and they run for the hills or beach, depending on what direction they're pointed. And so we've been working on this for a while. This is not something that has just happened. On the left-hand side are some things we've done already. On the right-hand side are some of the next steps. We've interviewed 6 last-mile providers. And what that is, those are companies that connect you to the internet. There's a fiber line that Pangea runs. Northland has a fiber line. So we have plenty of internet getting to the resort. What we don't have is a lot of internet getting from those fiber lines to the homes, condos, and villas. So we talked to 6 last-mile providers. We talked to fixed wireless people. We talked to wireless people. We talked to wired people. We talked to crazy people. We talked to not so crazy people. We talked to everybody that we could get in front of about this as a project. 1,024 improved properties is a pretty good number. We received and evaluated 2 proposals from 2 companies, totally different approaches. And then at a board meeting, we presented those to the board on October 14th, and the board voted to move forward with next steps with one of those providers. I don't really want to announce the name. I can tell you that they're legitimate, they're well thought of, but until we get a little bit deeper into this, I kind of want to keep that information confidential. The next steps on this process, they gave us a proposal that outlined the technology structure, and there's 2 parts to it. There was a part using existing assets, and there was a part that was fiber. Everybody we talked to, all 6 companies said the end game has got to be fiber. And so fiber is fiber 6-7 years down the road. What do we do between now and then? So with this company, they outlined a 2-pronged approach to getting internet to the resort. So we're working with them on some discussions about that. We've got the short and longer term strategy identified. We're working on a project plan, including cost of one involved. We know in broad terms what it will cost. We're trying to get to the specifics. And the specifics is determined by the actual layout of the properties. One of the things that James has spent so much time on here recently is for the new system. He's mapped out latitude and longitude every property in the resort into the system. That's never existed before. So we know where all the lots are, we know where all the improved properties are, and you can put that on Google Maps, and you can see visually where that wire needs to run. Where's the big cluster of homes, where's the big cluster of lots, and it helps pave the way for kind of a methodical approach through the resort. And then we're going to have more definitive details either late this year or early next year. And those definitive details would be a proposal to the board, to the POA, of how this would work. In communities like us, it usually comes down to the resort or the POA being the billing entity. In other words, we would bill owners for the internet, and we would have a contract, a longer-term contract with a provider, 6, 7, 8-year contract, and we would be the intermediary in that process. So the POA would have to commit to a certain level of support, and we'd have to find a way to share that in a fair way. to provide the incentive for somebody to come in and build this out. So when we talk about real estate values and trying to target real estate values as a measure of what we're doing, I don't know that I can think of anything more important for property values in the resort than internet. So this process over the next few months could be critical to giving those a boost. But I just want to bring up today where we're at on that. We don't talk about it a lot, but that doesn't mean there's not things going on.
Jeff, what are the minimum requirements you're asking of these companies?
The current standard for high-speed internet is 25 down and 5 up. And then when you get to fiber, you're talking about a gig if you wanted it. Most streaming services, just anecdotally, I signed on with Hulu a couple weeks ago. I've got a 10 down, 5 up line, and I'm able to watch live football. So at 25, I think most folks would have sufficient bandwidth, at least starting out. You can get better from some providers, but most providers you can't. All right. Going into something totally different. Roman Ball brand vision and strategy. If you remember from the CSI study, they recommended that we do a branding exercise. Our brand was weak. Our brand had not been communicated well. We didn't even know what our brand was. And we had a big discussion in last year's budget about what do we do with that. And we came to the conclusion there's no point in putting together a huge marketing plan and rebranding the place until we did some improvements to the resort. Bringing people in to what we thought was a little bit tired was wasted money. We're getting closer to the day where we think the product is ready for a brand campaign, so we've been doing some preliminary work. Now I'm going to kind of walk you through what we've done to this point. So if you can see up here, sharpening our brand vision for Roman Gold. This is the deck that was prepared for you. It is a subset of a much bigger deck that was presented to the board on that same October 14th meeting. So they've seen this as well. We want to bring you up to speed. Every great business has a clear purpose and a promise to stakeholders. And I'll give you a couple examples. Accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. Anybody have any guess on who that is?
Duke.
Tesla. Got nothing to do with cars, does it? The vision doesn't say anything about cars, and it may not be that someday they don't sell that off because they go into some other way to move the world to sustainable energy. So their vision is a much higher level than just selling cars. To connect people to what's important in their lives through friendly, reliable, and low-cost air travel. Not that. Southwest. When you study Southwest, we did a pretty big case study on Southwest in graduate school. Everything they do is designed to provide great service at a low cost. They're all the same planes, all the pilots train on the same plane, they have all the same parts, they minimize all that cost, and they spend money on really great training for their associates. So when you connect with them on the plane, it's a real experience. So they bring that vision to life. So, what's ours? What's our vision? So this process is really about defining our North Star. And our North Star used to be golf. When you bought it in 1993, there wasn't any discussion about this because everybody knew by default it was about golf. Golf drove the resort. It drove real estate sales. It drove the F&B programs. You just knew it was golf. Well, it's not golf anymore. What is it? And when you start talking about redefining yourself, which is what we're really talking about, how do we redefine Roman Ball? That's really hard stuff. Sears is, for all intents and purposes, dead. They sold off tool name. They're getting ready to sell off another name. They exist really in just somebody's imagination. They lost. They couldn't redefine themselves. Another name that may bring some pain to somebody in this room, but I'm sorry, Jack, it's a classic example, Kodak. They developed digital photography. They're gone. So if you're an organization and you're used to doing one thing and doing it really well, and it disappears on you, making that shift is never easy. So the point behind this exercise is, what's our new North Star? How do we manage? This is kind of the learning process today. Going from left to right, we got a lot of years of experience among the staff, among board members, among finance committee members, among the membership in general. There's a lot of people that are pretty smart and savvy in the ways of the world. A lot of us have done some desk research. I can't tell you how many emails, articles I get from Phil Rotano. It must be 1,000 by now. Take us but that happens to me all the day. We did some quantitative research with CSI. We did a survey of our guests and our members, and we found some interesting things in that. The Strategic Planning Committee, they did a bunch of work before CSI. They've done a bunch of work after CSI. So the strategic plans kind of been thought through by the board and the planning committee. The leadership, we did some qualitative research. We brought in a company to do a one-day workshop with the leadership team at the resort to kind of pick our brains. And that's that last piece. So for the last 18 months, we've been grinding on this. This isn't just something we thought about last week. And we're getting to the point where we've got some things to show you. So when you talk about qualitative, when you talk about a brand, on the far left is a diagram of good and different. The very best business to be is you're really good and you're really different. Because people can't copy you. And if you look at the little people on the scale beside it, 4 of us thought, out of the group of 7 that went to that workshop, that we're different, but we're not really good. We're actually kind of tilted in that direction. That's not a bad place to be. You're still different, which is what you really want, but you're not good. So how do we get to be different and good? We did this is a Google word cloud. It's where Google has an algorithm that's secret, not even the CIA knows, or James. And it generates, based on conversation and emails on that, some words that kind of reflect the organization. We come up with location, beautiful, tranquil, living, family, still, outdoor, lake, mountains. Those are all kinds of words that you hear used to describe us. And it's intrinsically part of our brand, although it's never been, specifically mentioned. We took a look at the enemy. Who's the enemy? The enemies don't like us. The real estate agents that don't like us could be the enemy. There are a number of enemies out there that we deal with. And we looked at the audience. Who are we going after? What's a perfect prospect for us? And if you look at the CSI study, one of the most troubling parts of it was the people coming here as guests weren't the people who end up being members. And that's the pipeline. That's the pipeline. To get on the real estate side, you come and visit, and you say to yourself, like I'm sure many of you have said to yourself, this is really a beautiful spot. I can see myself being here for a very long time. Where's Beverly Haynes? Sorry, Chris, Kathy, I know that's not your brand. And it probably comes to you too. I'm sorry, you're just across the street. So the group got together, we started talking about some Roman Golf values. And this group is a gateway group. It's Adam Schauer, Adam Bowles, myself, James King, Mark Eads, Amber McIntosh. Did I miss anybody, guys? Mike would be part of it going forward. And we come up with some things that we are, and more importantly, we come up with some things that we're not. We are welcoming and inclusive. We are authentic. There's nothing fake or phony about this place. We're simple and stress-free, at least we try to be. And it's timeless. Nature is timeless. There's no fad around nature. Nature doesn't come and go as hula hoops or something else like that. It's kind of a timeless asset to have. What we're not We're not formal. I've never wore my tux here, thank goodness. We're not pretentious. Exclusive? No, we're not really exclusive. We welcome the public. And the one thing that came up, and this is kind of are we really a resort? Is that a good word for us? No, we haven't changed the name. We're not going to change the name, but it got us to thinking, does that really identify us? So this is Simon Sinek's Golden Circle. You can Google Simon Sinek. He's like a sage of the world. He has many videos out there. I think one of his best videos has to do with the Golden Circle. And his point is, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. That's kind of strange. They don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Let me give you an example he uses. We make really cool computers, and we make them incredibly good looking and aesthetically pleasing. Do you want to buy one? Contrast that with, we think technology is going to help people lead better lives. It's complicated. Our why is to make technology simple for you to use in your life. We make computers, and they're pretty cool looking. You want to buy one. And which one of those resonate with you? When you understand the why, when there is a why, it becomes an easier sell. And so most of this exercise that we're going through, as we talked earlier, why are we here? What's our why? We came up with 3 different versions of why from our conversation. One of them kind of focused on community and belonging. This is a really nice community. People feel a sense of connection here, rightfully so. So maybe it's community. Maybe we're here because we're a great community. We talked about wellness. This is a great place to go hiking. It's a great place to go swimming. It's a great place to go in the wellness. It can be a very individually focused thing where you're really worried about your wellness. And this is a really good place to do that. Maybe that's why we're here. And the one that we've kind of landed on is we're here because for whatever reason, whatever history, we were given a beautiful spot on the earth. It's different. And we can do anything we want with it. We can have a great community, we can achieve wellness, and we can be about the natural beauty. So we came up with celebrating and protecting our natural gifts. Purpose statement. Roaming Ball's purpose is to reconnect people to what matters most. Nature, family, friends, community, and self. And work with others to protect our gifts. I think that kind of gets to it. Our promise is to use our timeless natural beauty and welcoming community to help create lasting connection, lifelong memories, and renewal of body and mind. The pillars underneath all that is respecting nature and unlocking people's sense of adventure and discovery, welcoming hospitality and food that is locally sourced and tastefully curated, and nurturing a community that is authentic and unpretentious, a place to belong. And finally, the persona, if we would give ourselves a persona, we're friendly, down-to-earth, nature-loving, adventurous, and grateful. So we took this, a couple more steps, we took this, and we came up with a brand manifesto. And these are the words, my technology works. Listen to the words.
Did you write this?
This is your place. The place where phone service fades as mountains grow. Where getting lost is encouraged and pristine nature creates true gratitude. Where we celebrate community, tap into our senses of adventure and exploration, and reconnect with the things that matter most. This is the place for renewal. This is rumbling bald. Our home, nestled in the mountains, is built for tranquility and exploration. This landscape was created for making memories and connecting with nature. We embrace and celebrate that gift daily and have built our community around it. Whether you're most at home hiking in the hemlocks and maples of the foothills and mountains, floating in the calm waters of Lake Lure, or challenging yourself on one of our championship golf courses, exploration and serenity await you. Find your adventure here. Celebrate the gift of nature. Reconnect with what's truly important. And discover a community worth calling home at Rumbling Bald.
We're going to add some pictures to that now.
This is your place. The place where phone service fades as mountains grow. Where getting lost is encouraged and pristine nature creates true gratitude. Where we celebrate community, tap into our senses of adventure and exploration, and reconnect with the things that matter most. This is the place for renewal. This is Rumbling Bald. Our home, nestled in the mountains, is built for tranquility and exploration. This landscape was created for making memories and connecting with nature. We embrace and celebrate that gift daily and have built our community around it. Whether you're most at home hiking in the hemlocks and maples of the foothills and mountains, floating in the calm waters of Lake Lure, or challenging yourself on one of our championship golf courses, exploration and serenity await you. Find your adventure here. Celebrate the gift of nature. Reconnect with what's truly important. And discover a community worth calling home at Rumbling Bald.
Want to buy a house here? So that gets us to the point of, we think we know why we're here, and it's a mixture of golf and all that other stuff. We think we have a good brand manifesto, something we can share with somebody, a new associate, a new homeowner, whatever, and they get it. We got some work left to do, a lot of it, and these are kind of the next steps. Now we know why we're here, and it's not so much we didn't know before, it just kind of crystallized it and clarified it and got past the golf piece of it. Now that we know why we're here, who are we going after? What are the audiences that we need to get in front of, and where do they live? And how do you get in front of them? And then we need brand standards and guidelines. If you're Panera Bread, actually there's bread, it's called Bread Company, Panera's are competitors. Bread Company, Atlanta Bread Company, have you ever seen one of them? The group that we're working with that helped us do this, they did the brand standards for them. And there's a book about this too. It's every logo and every word and everything, and fonts and what you use. It's a very tightly controlled brand standard that covers every communication that you send out. So no matter whether you're listening at the web, you're looking at a social media post, you're looking at a poster in the learning center, it all reinforces and presents that brand standard. And so we think that's a big piece of it. And then there's a creative and website refresh. Some of you may say, we did that a couple years ago. You're right, we did. Life of a website's about 5 years. We're not talking about redoing, we're talking about refreshing it with this direction. I gotta tell you, when I look at that website, and it's a beautiful video, it's well done, I'm not sure a young lady in a yellow bikini and her friend that's with her are really the people we're after. They're beautiful people, and it was a well done video, and it showed off the place, but those aren't the folks that we're after. We're after those two-tape folks. 10, 12 years in the future, the 3 kids are hanging on them, and they're going like this, and thinking about what happens when I retire. So we're looking at ways to kind of realign the website and all that. Social content, it goes to signage, it goes to collateral material, and it also goes to trademarks from you and golf and weddings. I think that's it. There you go, there's more.
Going along with this, I rent a place on myself and I get to read the reviews of people that rent it. Of all the things that this resort offers, the beauty of the nature, sitting on my back deck looking out at Ball Mountain Lake, that is 100% of what the comments are, and that's what people are looking for, even more so than the golf, I think, a lot of times.
It's what's different about us, it's the different that we can do something with.
Yeah.
Jeff, I want to ask you something. Nothing in the budget has been mentioned. I'm a tennis player, and I didn't see anything about improving our tennis courts. And there's a lot of young families that come. I play with them in the round robin in the summertime. Excellent tennis players that come through here. Those courts look like the Grand Canyon went through them. They're terrible. They're not good for your legs, your back, or anything, and they're just not pretty. So, is there any future for the tennis or not?
The budget meeting will be in December when we go through the budget, but one of the biggest conversations we're having now is about what to do next year. The tennis court people, the tennis and the pickleball folks have made an impassioned plea to do something sooner rather than later. And walking those courts, I understand that. So we're going through the process trying to identify when and what to do with them when we do it. So there's a lot of moving pieces to this thing, but it's front and center on our list.
I just didn't hear anything about it, that's all.
All right, last topic for the day, then we'll let you get the cocktail hour or Coke hour or whatever it is you do when you sit through a meeting like this. North Star. For those of you who don't know, our current system, I have no idea who comes here. I have no idea what they do when they come here. I don't have any idea of what's important to them, what's not important to them, because none of that data exists. It's in different buckets in different places, and if you're a spreadsheet wizard, maybe you can pull them together, maybe probably not. So the driving force behind North Star was not to get new fancy POS machines and all that. It was to give us a system that could help us understand the business better than we do today, much better than we do today. So North Star, that was a genesis. Now, some of the features I'm going to go over on the left, you're going to say, why do we get new POS terminals? Because the ones we have look nice. They're Windows 7 machines. Windows 7 goes out of existence on December 31st. They can't be upgraded. They're a walking time bomb. So we're getting rid of them just in the nick of time. So new POS systems come. There's a complete back office setup, accounting, accounts payable, accounts receivable, POA, anything, almost everything but lodging is being replaced by this new system. There's a new POA module where we talk about every property's tracked by latitude and longitude. It gives us visibility we haven't had in the old system. We can link, this may sound, I can't believe you had to deal with this, Jeff, but we have. But if you were an owner and you had a house and 3 lots, there was no place we could go to connect all those dots. They weren't linked up in the system. In the new system, I know who you are, I know what you own, and more importantly, I know what you have paid and haven't paid. So we can keep track of all that quickly and efficiently. We can't do that now. The big issue, the big change, and you're going to see it, you won't see it in the kitchen. In Legends Kitchens, there's this kitchen display system. If you were to sneak back there today, there were 5 monitors hanging from the wall in various places in the kitchen. And we also have iPads that are going to be taking orders at your table. Last night we closed the restaurant. For those of you that wanted to eat and couldn't, I apologize. We needed about 60 people to come, order like regular guests, so we could kind of work out some of the kinks, because on Friday, the iPads go live, and the KDS system in the kitchen goes live. So we needed some live people, some real situations to train on. So we had about 60 people come to dinner last night. And how do we pick those 60 people? Trivia. They've been coming for 2 years. We thought we owed them a little something for saying thanks, so they came and helped us out last night. But the kitchen display system in the kitchen will dramatically change how we operate the kitchen. The iPads at the desk, at the order, will dramatically change how we serve you. That's connected to the bar, so how we're serving drinks will change. So over the next week, we're going to introduce a brand new operating system to Legends Restaurant, and we think it's going to take us to really great places once we figure it all out. That's a big piece of it. For you as a member, there's going to be an updated member-only site that actually has your ID and your password, so nobody else can get into it. There's also going to be a mobile app. You can download on your phone, either an Android or iPhone, or an iPad, or whatever it is that Samsung makes. And you'll be able to connect with the resort. I'll show you a picture of some of the functionality. We're going live with this on Friday. The member-facing website, and the app go live on the 18th. That gives us some time as a best practice according to the vendor to get the bugs worked out, to get things flowing smoothly, so when you finally get into your app, everything looks good. We're going to require a member picture on all IDs. So you can either have a card, we'll print out a card, and that is your picture. And we can take your picture, you can pick your picture, you can upload your picture, as long as it's a picture of you and not your dog.
Oh,
And so, in the app, there'll be a picture as well. In the interim between November 1st and probably February 1st, we're going to allow the use of the current membership card. Here's what's going to be good is when you go to the restaurant and hand them your current card, they can look you up in the system quickly. They can identify the discount that you get, and you don't have to fumble around with any of that. If you go to the wellness center and you forgot to send us a check a few months ago, you're not going to go in the wellness center. So this system is going to be live and tied to your account and your account status. And I know everybody in this room is going to be fine with that, but there may be some folks that are not going to be happy with what happens November 1st. You'll either get a new card, and we're only going to do this once. You don't have to have a card every year like you do now. You can keep one card, or you can just use the app on your phone. You don't have to have a card. And what the app does is, like, if you're flying, you pull up your boarding class electronically. They scan it. On this, you open up the app, hit an icon to say your ID. They can scan your ID. So you don't really need a card, but if you feel more comfortable with a card, you certainly can get a card. And like I said, the access starts on November 1st. This is kind of an overview of the member site, and this is just one page. I think a lot of you are familiar with member kind of sites these days, but you'll be able to go in and check on the resort calendar. You can book key times in golf. I'm going from the left there at the very top. You can book appointments in the wellness center. You don't have to call. There'll be events. If you want to sign up for Thanksgiving dinner, you can sign up for Thanksgiving dinner. There'll be dining options. Grab and go. You'll be able to order online instead of having to call. I don't know if you've ever been at the bar when you were sitting or Jen did a phone call, ordered a pizza. You got the back to you. It's loud and it's always we're trying to figure out, did you say pepperoni? Is that what you said? So you'll be able to put those in remotely, and there'll be a host of information related to what membership. You'll be able to provide all kinds of things that you like. So maybe we can bring together a group of hikers, because they've all identified themselves in the app as a hiker. You can invite friends to play golf. The features are kind of endless. It's going to take a while for it all to settle out. But we'll hold training sessions and with you and your phone or you and your mobile device and help you get it set up and help you get moving with it. But we think it's going to dramatically change how you interact with the resort. And I gotta call somebody out. The guy in the funny shirt on the left, his name's Jeff Christiansen. We would not be doing what we're doing this week if a year ago he hadn't raised his hand and said, I want to help. Jeff's been involved. He helped us identify the potential products we could buy. He helped us evaluate those products. He helped us do site visits. He's helped us buy the right equipment. He's held tons of meetings with the staff. And he's one of those project managers that can read between the lines. Somebody's saying, yeah, this is cool, but they know, no, it's not. We got to do some digging to find out what's wrong. He has been tireless. He's been incredibly helpful. And I just want to say, I know he's not here tonight, but if you see him, please thank him. He's done one heck of a job for us. By the way, that's the last night in the kitchen. You can see the That display right there is kind of a master display. It shows all the orders. But basically what happens when you sit at a table and somebody takes your order, a drink order goes to a display on the bar. You want a beer. The bartender knows about it. Your food order goes into the kitchen, but it splits out. If you order a salad and an entree, the salad person gets their part of it, the entree person gets their part of it, and so they're not having to listen to a bunch of yelling and screaming in the back saying, I need a salad, I need this. Last night I was in the kitchen, and there's 3 screens behind this grill, behind this serving area over here, and 2 of them were empty, and one had something on it, and Chef Tim said, that's beautiful. I said, what's beautiful? I said, the screens are empty, and they know they have nothing left to do. Normally they'd be asking themselves, did I forget something? And they'd be going back to the tickets. That kind of clarity when you're doing that kind of work is amazing. So we have high hopes for this system and improving our service to you, the members, and our guests. I'll turn it back over to Mike and the members for questions and comments.
Jeff, thanks a million. Q&A. Who has questions? Yeah, Mark.
So I'm going to take you back from this great vision and all this beautiful stuff that they're sharing with us today, and then just want to ask a little bit more about some of the hows. We've discussed a lot this year about the physical and the financial health of the resort, and we see a lot of work on the physical side, and I think everybody can agree that's looking wonderful, and we've seen the CapEx plan, so it's going to continue. It's not quite as obvious what the plans are financially. I know that from the CapEx meetings, we're going to keep our dues, or the plan is to keep the dues at the additional 1.9, and then I think, is it 2021 to start ramping them up with inflation? Is that correct? Am I remembering that correct? And then also, hopefully they want to do some of this, they want to add debt, I guess, over the next 3 years, right? You would have about a 1.385 hopeful plan to do that. So I guess what I want to know from Jeff in particular is, what does financial health of the resort look like to you, and what are some of the strategies that you're going to take to get us there? I know it's going to take some time. I just want to know what it looks like to you and how we're going to know when we're there.
The most glaring and obvious issue we have with the resort right now is we have no reserves. When the flood happened a year ago, we literally were on an island with no way off of it. And we suffered almost, when you add it all up, maybe $1 million worth of damages. We ended up getting about $250,000 from the insurance companies all said and done. The first thing we've got to do is put in place a disciplined annual contribution to a rainy day fund until we get it to a level where we're comfortable that if a fire breaks out at Party Rock or we get a flood, we're going to be able to weather it and not have to make dramatic changes like we did last year. That's step one. Step two, from a revenue and expense standpoint, we can't continue to allow things to stay flat on our revenue and let costs go up and eat into those margins. They both have to match. They both have to move in somewhat of a similar manner. That doesn't mean we let costs get away from us. We continue to look for cost controls. We continue to look for cost savings. But as an example, our medical insurance went up again this year. Completely out of our control, but it went up. And those are the kind of things we're facing. The property and casualty insurance, I assume, we haven't seen the numbers yet. When they factor in the losses and what they paid out last year, we may be able to expect an increase from there as well. So we have to be smart with our money, and we have to be conscious of how we're spending it. The budget needs to be a combination of what's going into the rainy day fund, what's going into the CapEx fund, and what things are we getting done this year to move the resort forward. So and the part that the membership has to play in it, they can't take a hands-off attitude. They have to be engaged in coming to meetings, asking questions, letting us know what's important to them, so that we can do the right things for the membership as well. The The other big issue we face, and a lot of folks face it, is labor. We had a heck of a time finding a lodging. And the biggest issue we face is where we are. If you're making $12, $13 an hour, and you're living 45 minutes away, or 35 or 45 minutes away, that's a lot of gas. That's 10%, 15% of your paycheck before you even go home. That's an issue. That's why the West Side Connector could potentially help in the labor situation in the resort. We're fighting over good people. Finding a lodging director took us 6 months. I had one guy that signed on the dotted line and said he was coming, and somebody swooped in, and a week before he showed up, he got a better offer. I assume he never showed up. We're seeing it everywhere. When you talk to the business owners on the other side of the lake, it's the work ethic and just have people to come in. So we continue to face labor issues and labor cost pressures related to that. So we have to balance that with smart revenue policy and cost control where we can find it.
Just stay up there, because they're gonna be.
You want?
Thank you. A couple comments. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you on the presentation today. I think it was excellent, one of the best ones I've seen since I've A couple concerns that I had was lodging. I think you covered that one. Lodging being down 20% this year is a real problem. The one we didn't spend a lot of time on was one of my pet peeves over the years is golf. We've improved this year, no question. We're still going to lose money, $250,000, $300,000 for the year. Is there a plan for 2020 to improve that, or are we stuck at that low loss rate?
Can I have the mic back?
Then I'll give you the other one. I'll give the mic back to you. Let's talk about the Sand Branch Road issue. This has been an issue that has been around here for my 25 years. I'm very much against hooking the resort to Raptor Court to the Boys Camp Road. We're not geared for that. It's good for an emergency. I agree with firefighting. It has to be there. But to open that as a back entry to the resort, I'm dead against. And there's a good reason for that, because I live on Bluebird, and Raptor connects to that. I think you need to think long and hard before you open that back gate to this resort. Okay?
Thank you, Jack. There's a very specific plan for golf. One of the things that we did go over here, we've done some work on the marketing side of golf too. There's a gentleman that I met probably 4 or 5 months ago. He was with an agency called the Buffalo Agency. At one point, the Buffalo Agency was part of Billy Casper Golf, and they specialized in golf marketing, golf resorts, golf-focused marketing, and so Billy Casper spun them out into their own agency. He was actually one of the people that started the agency. He has since spun out into his own small boutique firm, and we're working with him to determine a strategy to really take advantage of these golf courses.
You think we can get break even?
Not next year, because I think we're going to spend some money on the greens at Apple Valley. But yes, I think we can get back to at least a break even in golf. Golf is not dead. There are some really great golf resorts that are golf-centric only, and they've done a good job of making money in golf. You just have to have a good product, and you have to be able to have a great experience when you're here. And so it's not just the golf courses, it's the restaurants when they come here, it's the lodging when they stay here, it's all connected. And fortunately, we control all that. We should be able to knock it out of the park. So I'm bullish on golf. And the other thing I'm really kind of surprised by, I don't know if some of you may follow, we send out the deck from the management meeting every Wednesday. It goes out in Thursday's email, and you can kind of see the bullet points we're talking about. Adam Bowles did some research, and we put both our golf courses online. I'm not sure which one the service it was, but almost 4 to 1. People from outside of here want to play out there. 4 to 1. Apple's the brand. Apple Valley is a great golf course, and it's got legs outside this resort. And I don't think we're doing enough to really take advantage of that brand. It's a sub-brand within our brand, but Apple Valley is a pretty stout golf course. And when this gentleman came here, we played Apple Valley, and he was blown away by the golf course. And this is a golf guy. He writes for Golf Digest. He writes for publications. He's been to every resort you can think of. He was impressed with Apple Valley. So I think it's a matter of being proud of it, doing something with it, and having a strategy from a marketing standpoint to target the right people, to get them to come here as golf groups, and bring golf back.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I just want to say, I work on the golf course, and I have really been amazed at how many first-time golfers playing here, couples, in the last month or 2 months. And I asked the other day, that we had a lot from Raleigh. Every time I talk to them, I'm from Raleigh. He says, I can hear that up. And he said, there's some kind of coupon they went online and got, and evidently whoever that did that marketing is doing a good job.
Thank you. We did some different things with golf, and when we had that group of media folks here back in March, I don't know if you remember, it was called the Battle of Smokies. There were 10 media types from North Carolina, 10 media types from Tennessee, which is 20 media types to deal with for 3 days. Media types. They were great though, but they wrote some really good articles about the resort, and I think that also plays into why we've gotten some new play this year. The last thing we did, and I got to tip my hat to Margaret Westbrook. It was her idea that she surfaced in the budget meeting last year. Was why don't we look for some commissioned golf sales? And so we did. We went and talked to the Fairfield Glades folks when I was out there. Actually, we were out there evaluating North Star because they have North Star. And I met with their golf director, and he put me in touch with a gentleman who's since become a commissioned golfer. And he's been in the business for 20 years. He knows golf. When you call him up, he can talk to you about golf in a way that golfers appreciate. And we brought him on in July, and he basically saved our October. He booked a bunch of stuff for October. So I'm bullish about golf. I think we got a good product. It can only get better, and I think the game's got some legs to it.
One more thing.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
wish I hadn't come. From the standpoint of bringing new property owners in to buy homes and so forth, build whatever, is it with our resort not having a medical prompt care thing available close by, is that a problem? Does that hurt our sales, do you think? I do, for me it would, because I hear people saying, what do you do when you have a medical emergency? And I know EMTs do a great job, but I thought the place up by Ingalls, you could go in and get some help. Well, we found out we could not. Bill was bitten, we thought, by a spider. I had to take him all the way to Hendersonville. Is there any future for prompt care close by?
If you talk to the new mayor, Lake Lure, her biggest concern is getting an urgent care facility somewhere in the area.
That'd be great.
24/7 kind of care to handle what you're talking about. And I think there's some awareness, and we've lost some members. They were up in years. They were in their mid to late 80s, and they want to be a lot closer, so they went to Hendersonville. So I think that's always in the back of somebody's mind.
It'd be beautiful to have something like that, just for an emergency that's not a heart attack, or you need the EMT, but you gotta go somewhere.
Yeah, when I broke my arm last January, I had to go to Maryland.
But I think that hurts our business about people coming in here.
It's part of the conversation. I would imagine the real estate folks could tell you that. It's part of the conversation. It's part of what they're worried about. Yes, ma'am.
When the consultants came in, one of the things we were told was that more exclusivity of the resort would give us value. And there were still dozens and dozens of people coming in and out of the resort who have these day passes that are undated. My family was given one today. So they get to come in and out in perpetuity, and that doesn't really lend. Yes. That was today. And the other thing is, down at the Wellness Center, it's never become part of the culture change to ask people for their cards. So I think we're going to have a real hard time when you put in this new system. And there are still people taking wellness classes who are not with a member, who just come in and pay the $5. And the people with desk don't ask them who they're with.
Well, I actually, I'll contradict that a little bit. I got a call from somebody last week that was embarrassed because they were asked and they couldn't come in. And so she was pretty agitated and upset. And she handled it well, and our person handled it well. So I know there are times when I do follow the policy, because I ended up spending 20 minutes on the phone with this individual.
But that was
Well,
Joanne, I know about that situation.
Okay.
That was Joanne, she does everything she's supposed
Right.
to do.
So, starting November 1st, there'll be a screen there, and a scanner, and you have to scan in. And if you're not in the system, or you haven't paid your bill, you won't be asked, you'll be asked to leave. There's a camera going up, if it hasn't already gone up, so we can record that, because I want two things to happen. I want people to know if they're gonna get sideways with us, we got video to prevent it. And if they do get sideways with us anyway, we got video documented, and we can help those people find something else to do for 30, 60, or 90 days, besides come to the resort. So, the other area we have a big issue with this is the tennis courts. They've traditionally been wide open. And so tightening up on that, North Star is the first step in helping us do that. One of the big controversies I'm dealing with this week, we told the tenant, we said to the tennis and pickleball players that we want you to check in at the wellness center before you play. Anybody going to the court needs to check in, so we have a record of who came and what game they played, because that's important to know. That was not a happy moment, some of those emails I got back. So we've got some work to do there. It's partly, there's some members that have never had to worry about that, and changing those habits are hard. They're going to be hard. This shouldn't happen. I'll find out when this happened, and I'll get Mr. King back there, and we'll address it. This shouldn't happen.
Where do those come from? I'm not familiar with those passes.
Guard check, do they not?
Yeah, that's what I understood, is there was, sounds like security handed that out.
They did, because I was with them, but is there a plan to change the color of the card or do something so that the people who are coming in every day who don't belong here, we're not recognizing those passes anymore?
We have different color. We have stickers for people that are here every day. We have stickers for associates. We have different colors for different types of business. Is that correct?
Correct.
And it should all be gated. And it should be visible.
Dozens of people have those undated passes that come in and out all day long. Or, whenever they want access to the resort, and they never can stop, and they're undated.
That shouldn't be.
Maybe the people in the guard shack could look a little closer at the cards when they come in.
Yeah, but that,
Part-
If it doesn't have a
What's that?
date on it.
Part of the issue, if you stand out there with the guard shack, it's not easy, it's not hard to get overwhelmed. It's not hard for 3 or 4 cars to pile up on you and somebody giving you a dirty look, and you just say to yourself, I need to get this guy 3 cars back, and just kind of wave people through. So I understand the situation the guard finds themselves in. Moving the guard shack, where 8 out of 10 of those people don't need to stop anymore because they're going to the golf course or they're going to the restaurant, we don't need to have them see security, would help eliminate a lot of that extra work. That's down the road a little ways. But your point is well taken, and it's a struggle, and we'll continue to try and do better.
Thank you.
I know, some people that, I'm not gonna turn them in, but I know they use the trout stream pool during the summer, and they don't, belong. And I don't understand how, like, even if we get, cards or whatever, I mean, whoever's manning these, amenities needs to be trained better, so they absolutely have to check everybody, because I know sometimes people know other people, and they're like, oh, go ahead, I'll look the other
That's
way.
one of the reasons your picture is going to be on your ID, or your picture is going to be on your phone app, so we know it's you. Because I think what people do is they'll give their cards to somebody else. And a $10 an hour or $9 an hour high school student that maybe their first job, it's not going to happen. Especially if they call in sick 3 days in a row. And you got nobody else to do it.
Jeff, I have a follow-up question about the North Star system and security. Will it be possible for us to put the name of our guests who are coming in the system so security knows who they are? Right now, I call down and I make a list and nobody ever checks the name of my guest who's coming in. So I call the security gang, I give them the names, and when they come through, they say, do you know where you're going? Yes. Okay, here's your pass. How long will you be here? And it's not checked. So is North Star
Yes.
going to help that?
Yes, North Star, there's a piece of North Star we're gonna implement next February that has to do with actual physical lock access. It's more for the marina to begin with. The locks in the marina will be driven by North Star. We'll know that you belong on Docky, and you'll be able to get in Docky with your card or with your app. But if you don't belong on Docky, you're not going on Docky. Same thing with the wellness center. We're gonna be able to open it up early in the morning so you can come in before we come in and work out when you want to, not when it's convenient for us. The guard, when we move the guard shack, having a way for us to meaningfully engage with somebody and get the right information is important. The leakage, if you will, and there's lots of leakage. I mean, one of the issues with property value, and I don't mean to pick on the tennis folks, but I'll use tennis as an example. If I can play tennis whenever I want with my buddies, and it doesn't cost me anything, and that's all I really want to do, why would I buy in the resort?
But guess what? We used to have to sign in and pay to play.
I know.
I've been here a long time. And I didn't
Well-
object to that. You know, I'd go in and sign in and give them up $5.
But the argument you'll get from some members, and some members will do this, is they'll say, but they support food and beverage and they support something else, so we should let them in. We've got a road in front of us to change that behavior, and North Star is part of the solution. Mary Ellen?
Are you gonna include the Apple Valley pool in all this?
Yes, ma'am.
And are we gonna do the same thing next year for the wristbands at 4th of July? Because I think that was wonderful.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm just curious, there's the members and then there's the guests. Is there, does a Rumbling Ball have any way that someone who lives locally and wants to use the resort in the summer can pay a membership for the summer or for some period of time and use the facilities?
We offer a summer membership or a membership to outside party on the golf courses. That's the only place where we think we have enough capacity that it doesn't bother the regular members and guests. When you start talking about the wellness center and some of those amenities, the tri-stream pool, they're already full with members and guests. To offer that to somebody outside the resort would take away from our members and guests. So until we have more capacity in some of these areas, we probably won't do that. Yes.
We had some people that lived next to us in North Augusta, and they moved over here to this new one where you turn up near, what is it, River Bend. And we saw them at the pool out here one day, and they had their kids with them, and we was talking, I said, I didn't realize y'all were members here. Oh, we're not. I come over here to get my hair done. The hairdresser gave her a pass, or gave her some way to get in. She was using the pool.
Now, this was several years ago.
Well, it was several years ago, but that has happened.
CSI said it, we gotta tighten it up. Wristband was waiting to tighten it up, North Star was waiting to tighten it up. We've got a long ways to go. I'll tell you one of the biggest worries that I have, you'll have somebody with a lot that gets 500 guest passes a year. We don't have there's no restriction on guest passes.
That's a policy issue.
That's a policy issue, and it's one that we need to address, and addressing it is, there's 100 different variations of that same story that's difficult. It's on the list, the board's list. It's probably going to be part of the bylaws and governance review. What do we do with guest passing? Because there's a lot of communities like us that face this same issue, and they've dealt with it in different ways. So there are solutions to it, but it takes a little intestinal fortitude, and it takes discipline, and we need to do those things. We like this to be, one thing I want to give you some bright news on the real estate side, because it sounds like real estate is terrible. Initiation fees in the third quarter of 2019 was the highest third quarter we've ever seen. So we had a record number of real estate sales in the third quarter. Now part of that, what I think happened is in the first year when the news increase went up, people got a little nervous and they're kind of going like this and they're wondering about it. And then when we came out and said the news are going to stay the same, that's what we're going to do with the money, we started giving them some comfort level that maybe we know a direction and are heading in a good direction. And so I think people are comfortable. People buying those homes aren't balking the dues rate. So there's some good vibes out there, and we're just trying to keep them going in that same direction.
I'd just like to make a comment, Jeff. I'd like to compliment you on the advertising and the marketing process that you're proposing. Because I was in sales and marketing for a lot of years. And the one thing that I hear from my family and guests and everybody else that I meet at the restaurant or the bar or whatever that comes here and it's their first time, they're just amazed at the beauty and the serenity of this place. And 90% of people are coming from big cities, and that hustle and the bustle that they have and the aggravation that they have all the time, and to be able to come and relax and enjoy peace and solitude is what they like about it. And so advertising towards that concept, I think is the best thing we can do.
Thank you. And we're on a good path with that. Would anybody on the board like to say anything? Mike, would you like to close the meeting?
I think it's fairly safe to say we're moving forward, and we're not stopping. But I'd like to reemphasize one thing that Jeff said. We really, really need all of your participation in this process. We need to know what you're thinking. Send us suggestions in. Stop a board member, stop Jeff, James, whomever, and talk to us about what's going on, what you like, what you don't like, and like I said, we'll continue to move this forward. Thank you. Yeah, Fairly.
There's an opening in the finance committee. We would love to have. We're right in the middle of the budget. Perfect timing.
All right, hang on. James has two things. Short things, right?
Short things. Almost as short as I am. On behalf of the Member Services Committee, don't forget Rose Senhi is upstairs in about 10 minutes. She's the writer of, who wrote the fictional novel about the Party Rock Fire. She's going to be upstairs 10 minutes. Second thing is, you heard all the wonderful stuff about North Star and member access and the app and all of that. One of the things we need is your picture. And so you don't have to do it today, but if you have a few minutes, we're going to be set up back here taking your photo for your member account. That'll show up on your app, or if you want a member card. But this will be kind of the first run of us getting your photo. You'll have a few months to do that, but we'd like to go ahead and get some today if you want to step back here after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. We look forward to seeing you soon.